Alright. This one here is coming to you. This is not a joke, even though it is kind of a haha cartoonish picture. A church built up in New Zealand, I think there's several chapters around the world, of people called Pastafarians, now received the licensing and all the legal requirements to marry in New Zealand. This is not a joke by any standard. This is an actual church, actually makes money, actually does things for the community. That's off the beaten path from the Catholic Church, and obviously kind of has a minor spin to it just to kind of probably keep all the non-crazies out of their traditions, etc. But these people have supposedly existed in a small number for the last couple hundred years. And originally the Pastafarian order and church thereof was kept small due to being hated and stuff and discriminated against by the Catholic Church and the Christians in the general regions that this was actually by. I don't know a long list about this, folks, but I have heard the term every once in a while. And instead of having a Jesus character, they have a flying spaghetti monster. I believe it is culturally acceptable to them at weddings to wear a colander on their head, which I think is just a strainer. This is actually a pretty good story, I guess. It definitely kind of gets out there, but I wanted to put this out there because I do believe in the alternative to the Catholic Church. This might be a little bit stretching to you in what I believe or what I want to say I believe. But this actual tradition of believing in a flying spaghetti monster, among other things of that nature, goes all the way back to the pirate days when they supposedly saw these creatures, and no doubt everything was turned inside out to believe they were, from sea monsters to spaghetti monsters. I don't know how that happened, but this is the general belief: is that this church started several hundred years ago, and now they're just basically starting to come out and become socially acceptable, where they're able to get certain countries to allow them marriage rights and other things like that. And basically, this is what's going on here. The Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster has been allowed to officiate weddings for the Kiwi followers, Kiwi being persons of New Zealand. The application was filed in November to register the general births, deaths, marriages, and various celebrations at that point, and has been approved and is now listed in the New Zealand Government Gazette. The application was found complying with New Zealand law. Thus, there's no reason to decline it, Registrar General Jeff Montgomery told the website stuff.co.nz. In considering the matter, I have referred to the objects of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, reviewed the material available online, and about the organization and the considered other organizations already able to nominate marriage celebrants. No judgment is made on the validity of or the beliefs or the convictions thereof. That has been one of the more unusual cases to be considered by Montgomery, he said. Basically goes on to say that the leader of the New Zealand chapter remains to stay anonymous, and believes that this is a great first step. The next first step, of course, is to find celebrants that will perform the ceremonies, such as weddings, funerals, deaths, etc. And he basically goes on and says, we're a bona fide church, and our people do like to get married, some of them several times. Hee hee ha ha. So, And basically, a typical Pastafarian wedding would include a bride and groom wearing colanders on their head as traditional headgear. Um, and however, pirate costumes are acceptable since pirates were actually the first people the flying spaghetti monster supposedly had been created by. So basically, the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster says it existed hundreds of years as a quote unquote secret organization, but came into spotlight in 2005. Original Pastafarians are said to have been pirates, good and decent folk, for some reason portrayed as outcast by the Christians. Today's Pastafarians are known for wearing the colanders as hats and keeping a high carb diet if they want to. So they also believe in a heaven, except for them, it's a little bit different. So you can only imagine the type of people this would attract, especially in New Zealand and Australia. But in their version of heaven, there's a beer volcano and a stripper factory. So you can only imagine what this is really like to be in these places. So I try to get as many cool, unusual stories as possible. This is definitely by far some of the more original, one way or another. So thank you.